All right, we're going to take it down to the floor and build up our vertical line, starting with headstand. So come on down onto your knees, and I'm going to ask the lovely Kerri to demonstrate so that we can really look at the vertical line. So set up for your headstand, check your distance, make sure the elbows are shoulder width apart, and interlock your fingers, placing the top of the head on the ground, and then stand your legs up, and Kerri's just going to go beautifully up in headstand. And headstand position is the place where you really begin to build the vertical line. So you want to think about the different places of your body, of your feet. The feet should stay stacked right over the hips stay stacked right over the torso or your rib cage, and then your rib cage is lined up right over the shoulders, and everything is aligned along the central axis. So there are a few key places that you want to look out for. Make sure your shoulders are engaged and pressed up as much as possible. Since this is headstand, there's a limit to how much elevation you can get in your shoulder girdle because your head should remain on the ground. Watch out for your elbows winging out to the side. If the elbows wing out to the side in headstand, that means you're going to have a little bend in your elbows when you go into handstand. Then you have the rib cage. The ribs are pulled knit into the center, so any openness in the front of the rib cage will come with a corollary openness in the back. Then you remember the butt, so you got to get the pencil. There we go, the pencil's in place, and as the butt squeezes, that tucks the tailbone and creates a sense of up through the legs. The thighs are engaged and the toes reach up out through the top of the head. You should feel like there's a vertical axis that runs through the center line of the body, like the plumb line, the gravitational axis of the body, and everything, every muscle in your whole body is squeezing into the center, into that center line. Because you're inverted and headstand you can hold for a long time, blood and circulation will run down through the center line of the body and actually pool in the very center of the head, creating openness, calmness, even a meditative mind. All right, then you can come down, pivoting through the hips, sending the hips beyond the center line to counterbalance on the way down. And let's just have you in child's pose for a moment. So headstand is a really important pose to rest in child's pose for a few moments. If you don't do that and you pop your head right up, that sense of disorientation can really increase and get exacerbated. So whenever you feel ready, you can come on back up. Okay. Now when we move into headstand, as you come up, think about your vertical line, because what happens is whatever center line orientation that you have in your headstand, that only gets multiplied as you bring your head further away from the ground. So if you have any little bit of that banana back happening in your headstand, as it begins to go into handstand, it's only going to get worse and worse and worse and sort of get deeper and deeper into bad alignment. So the ability to hold yourself in the vertical line in headstand builds a neuromuscular memory. So your body says, this is where I am in space, and begins to orient itself along the vertical axis. This is called proprioception, the ability of your muscles to perceive their orientation in space. Learn this in headstand and then let it translate into your handstand. So in order to really get this in headstand, we need to have one little new piece of information. We need to know where to place balance on your head. So let's grab those yoga blocks again. Okay, we've got the yoga block. Come to a comfortable seated position. And now grab your block. Don't worry, we're not going to repeat that shoulder exercise. Okay?
All right, something new.
Yeah, something new. Take your block and place it on the top of your head. Okay, you can also do this with a book. Don't try it with a bottle of water or a hand weight. If your block is balanced and not falling off, I want you to take your hand to your neck. Your neck should be totally free. Grab your block and move it to the front of the head, and you'll notice that as you do that, your chin just automatically perks up. You can balance precariously the block here, but just hold it there for a moment as your chin perks up, and you'll feel your neck muscles tense. Can you feel that? You feel that?
Yeah.
Do not balance your headstand here, or you will hurt your neck. Bring it back to the center, and your neck is like, oh, thank you, so much better. If you bring the block to the back of your head, you have to kind of look down, and you'll feel again the neck muscles come on. So bring the block back to the center, and what this is an illustration of is skeletal alignment, so that by perfectly aligning the bones of your skeleton along the central axis, you can find an effortless balance in headstand. I hope my headstand balance is better than my block balance.
That was perfect.
Okay, good deal. So let's move those blocks out to the side again. All right, guys, we're ready for headstand. Come on to your knees and place your elbows down. Then grip your elbows so you can really wrap your fingers around the elbows. Not too tight, so that'll bring them too much close together. So then just a little loose grip on the elbows so the elbows are shoulder width apart. Interlock your fingers. Avoid closing the hands. You're going to shorten the distance. Headstand is a tripod shape that's created between the equilateral triangle made by your two elbows pressing into the ground and the center of the head pressing down into the space between your open palms. Protract your shoulders, push them forward, drop the head under, and place the top of the head on the ground in between your hands. Press up from the shoulders as much as you can, then stand your legs up. Walk in, walk in, walk in, as far as your hamstring and hip flexibility will allow. Ideally, stack your hips right over your shoulders and then roll onto the very tops of your toes. We're going to take our easiest entry into headstand. Bend one knee into your chest, press up from the shoulders, and send your hips forward, bend the other knee into your chest. Keeping both knees into your chest, then squeeze your knees into each other and slowly tuck the tailbone and rise up, finding the center line.